Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Nick Hausman Show. And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Nick Hausman Show. I am your host, as always, Nick Hausman, and this is my chance to get at you with some thought action, some brain waves, some air waves, some regular waves. I mean, the whole universe is made up of waves of energy. I mean, if you really do your research, you would find out that. Well, let's talk about that real fast. Let's talk about waves of energy while I've got your attention. If you really know anything about the Higgs boson theory, which is basically the theory that created the Big Bang theory, you got this Higgs electronic, field, okay? The Higgs field, okay? And it's a big, giant, flat wave of energy, okay? And for some reason, there's something called the boson effect. We don't know how it's caused, but the boson effect, it flips so that the flat energy now becomes wavy energy, and that wavy energy starts to smash into each other, and just energy, I'm talking like electrical current energy, stuff you can't even see, that starts to make friction against each other. Friction so light at first, but over time, it rubs up against each other, and it creates matter. It creates matter, and that matter starts to shoot all throughout the universe because of the Higgs boson energy theory, and that matter goes all over the universe and very quickly, and it starts to create planets and solar systems and galaxies and everything in the universe, including us. We are all direct results of the Higgs boson theory. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, God created us, and, maybe God created the Higgs boson theory. I mean, if you're into intelligent design, if you say, hey, if there's a working watch, there's got to be a watchmaker. Maybe God's that watchmaker. I don't really care if you believe in a God or you don't. But the bottom line is you can't deny that's pretty much where it all came from. I mean, you could deny it. You could be a Higgs boson denier, just like you're a climate change denier. But where are you working? Fox News? All right, let's get back to the show. I just killed 2 minutes talking about some, philosophy of science stuff. My name again is Nick Hausman. If you'd like to support this show, you can go on YouTube, search The Nick Hausman Show, listen to previous episodes with my buddies Sherman Edwards, Warren Phoenix Johnson, Jesse Corgan, Darren Fintress, Kevin Pomeroy, a lot of other old guests that we've had on the show. Go check those out. Also on Facebook.com/Nick Hausman Show, over on Twitter @Nick Hausman Show. You can interact with me there. I love interacting with all of my fans and just people out there in the world of the internet on Twitter over there. My guest today for this show, episode number 7. Oh my God, have I really done 7 episodes? Is my good buddy, Mr. 450, John Jesus Urnett, also known down in Florida now as Jesus De Leon. I have known John longer than anyone else in Chicago wrestling, I think. Let me think real fast. Now, we don't really get into his backstory as much, so I kind of want to explain real quickly who John is and why we're talking to him today. The first time I ever did anything involved with pro wrestling, my buddy Darwin was working for a company called the UWC here in Chicago, and they're what you'd call a yarder fed. And so it's not a very elegant fed. It's, in the back of a truck yard and all that type stuff. But I was doing this promo with Darwin, with his buddy Aaron, for a little internet television segment I guess they were going to do, and John was in the wings watching this all play out, and I cut a promo on Darwin's buddy Aaron, who was the co-writer or creative person for the company at the time, that he did not like. I know now what I did was I went for cheap heat. I just called him a fat boy and all this stupid shit. And he literally ran me off the set and told me that they were never going to put that promo on the internet or anything. I don't think you can find it. But John, when I was on the side, he looked at me and he goes, "That's some good shit, man. That was good." And that was I think it. I think that's the first time we met. And ever since then, I mean, we moved away for a little bit. I ran back into him at Blitz Pro Wrestling. He came into there. Ran into him again at Resistance Pro. We worked there together for a little while. So, John and I have some history together. But John left the Chicago area not too long ago to move down to Florida to pursue his wrestling passions there. And he has been working with FIP and a few other promotions down there, and recently got the call from D-Lo Brown, former agent for TNA, that he was offered a 2-week tour contract with All Japan Pro Wrestling, meaning he's getting flown over to Japan for 2 weeks in October to go go be famous, go try to get over, as they say in the business. And so he's going to go over there. We're going to talk about how that came about on the show. We're going to talk a little bit about his time doing TNA dark matches, a little bit of, talk about Eric Bischoff, D-Lo Brown, a lot of things go into this. And also, if you stick to the very end, he addresses it early in the interview. Former WWE Superstar and NEXUS member Michael Tarver is actually in the room next to him while he's doing this interview. And yes, I do pull Michael Tarver into the conversation, late into the conversation, to say a few words. So you get kind of a bonus here. You get not only Mr. 450, but you do get about a minute or so with Michael Tarver. So it's worth checking out. Now, what do I want to talk about at the opening of this show? I'm going to try to keep these rants shorter and shorter. Well, guys, I want to talk about something that a lot of people are dealing with right now, and that's finding work. It's hard here in the Americana to find a good job these days, and I'm currently in search of a job, and guys, it's starting to really get me down. I got to get this podcast thing going. I got to get some sponsors. I got to get some merchandise. I got to get something going to get some more income flowing in my life. And today, and it's funny because I always said, there's no way I would ever go work at a grocery store or anything like that. It's just that, the wrestler, I did Chicago comedy for a long time, but I'm trying to find a job right now, and I'm talking to my buddies, what's a good job? Where's a place you'd like to work? And two of my friends work at Whole Foods, and they say it's absolutely great. The benefits are great. You never leave unhappy. You like the job. It's good people. So I put in an application today for Whole Foods, and honestly, I'm hoping to get it. If you know anything about Whole Foods, you'd like to find some opinions about it, go over to the Nick Hausman Show, at Nick Hausman Show. But guys, what I'm getting at is, Jesse Anderson, Corrigan, whatever you want to say, he said something on the show a few weeks back that really kind of still resonated with me. I mean, Jesse's kept the same job for 19 years. He's been a dishwasher for steward, whatever you want to say. But I asked him, how have we been able to keep a job for 19 years? And he said, well, people are always going to need their dishes cleaned. And as long as you keep a good attitude about it and you keep cleaning dishes, you're always going to have a job. And damn it, he's so right. So I'm looking to do something like that right now. I'm looking to keep a good attitude. I'm looking to get myself in a good job and just be happy, guys. Rock and roll. Save up some money. Buy some better microphones. Get this sumbitch podcast distributed finally on iTunes and Stitcher, like I always promised it was going to be. And we're almost there, guys. We're just about there. What else is going on right now in the world that I find very interesting? Oh, I've been watching some zombie movies on Netflix, and I do have a few recommendations. So if you've got a pen and paper nearby and you want to write down some good movie recommendations, where you want to type them into your phone, here you go. I've watched a lot of zombie movies recently on Netflix just at night trying to fall asleep. I like to watch zombie movies. Messed up, right? Definitely want to recommend Dead Season. Dead Season was very good. It's about people who get trapped on an island during the zombie apocalypse thinking it's an escape. It is far from an escape. Also, Rise of the Zombies, great movie. It stars Danny Trejo, French Stewart, Ethan Suplee, and LeVar Burton. It is the best LeVar Burton movie that I'd seen LeVar Burton do since Roots, and I think that was a television series. There was one more that I thought about. What was that one called? State of Emergency. That one was also pretty good as well. So check those movies out if you like zombie movies. 1,000 Cuts was a movie, and Smash His Camera was another movie that I live tweeted about over on my Twitter page. So keep looking out for that. Sometimes I'll start watching a movie, and if you're bored, you can start watching the movie alongside me. We can comment about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the movies I just mentioned. All right. With that out of the way, let's move on to my interview for today. My guest at this time is my friend, Mr. 450, John Jesus De Leon, and he has wrestled all over the world. Look, he's even got a Wikipedia page. I'm just going to straight read you his Wikipedia page. Mr. 450 Hammett started his wrestling career working on the independent circuit of Puerto Rico, working for Extreme Wrestling Entertainment. Among others, he later entered the New Wrestling Stars in 2005 and was a member of the stable HP with Ash, Livewire, and later on Stefano. 450 became NWS's first junior heavyweight champion after winning a tournament on March 26, 2006, but after having problems with the company, soon vacated the title and left for the International Wrestling Association. During this time, 450 continued wearing the title until the new wrestling stars requested it back. 450 soon became IWA's junior heavyweight champion just 2 weeks later, and Bayamon, Puerto Rico, sorry if I said that wrong, defeating champion Blitz. Very funny, very interesting. During his time with IWA, Hammett teamed with both Tommy Diablo and Carlitos in tag matches before leaving IWA to return to the NWS, where on August 13th, 2006, in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, 450 made his first appearance after the match between Bolo, the Red Bulldog, and William De La Vega, running in through the crowd. 450 helped out De La Vega, Noriega, and Sabu Kid clear the ring of his former HP teammates. The appearance was a one-off, however, as 450 left the company again the next day to enter World Wrestling Council. While in WWC, 450 feuded with Brent Dale, Alex Montalvo, and Ellie Rodriguez. 450 soon won WWC's junior heavyweight title, becoming the first wrestler in Puerto Rican wrestling to win the triple crown of 3 different Puerto Rican junior heavyweight titles. He also had feuds with wrestlers like Rick Stanley, William De La Vega, BJ, Rico Suave, and Tim Arson, who he wrestled for the WWC Tag Team Championships. And his feud with BJ, he became the WWC Television Champion on March 1st, 2008, and held it for 2 weeks before dropping it back to BJ. By December 2008, he decided to leave the WWC, joined Windy City Pro Wrestling in Chicago. On February 19th, 2010, he defeated Steve Boz to win the Lucha Chicago Championships. Since then, he's worked for pretty much every major Chicago promotion. He's worked for, like I said, the UWC, Blitz Pro Wrestling, Resistance Pro Wrestling, and pretty much anyone else around here you get a paycheck out of. His finishing moves are, of course, the 450 Splash and the Coronation Crunch. I think I named that move. And he was recently featured in the PWI Top 500. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please welcome my guest to the show, Mr. 450. And we're back here, ladies and gentlemen, with my latest interview with my good friend, my longtime friend, probably my longest time friend in the wrestling business, honestly. That's Mr. 450, and your new name now is what, Jesus De Leon?
Yep.
That's what you're going down there in Florida by, correct?
Yeah, I'm still using the moniker Mr. 450, but I actually have a name now, which is kind of cool.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the big reasons for moving away from the Mr. 450 name to Jesus De Leon is it's just bad for your knees. Keep doing those 450s. You gotta move away from that moniker at some point, right?
Yeah. I actually at FIP and a few of the other feds I don't use. There's only one company that I've been using it, and funny thing is that the Japan thing they want me as Mr. 450, so. Yep.
Well,
I guess I ain't going.
Yeah, let's move right into it then. I had you on the show here today. I already planned on having you on the show anyway, just because I always like talking to you. But something cool has just popped up, and I put you right at the front of the line. You're going on a 2-week tour with All Japan Pro Wrestling, and I wanted to hear how this all came about. And for those, real fast, before we get into it, I can occasionally hear your roommates in the background, and I want everyone else to know that they're not hearing that. That does sometimes happen. Do you want to tell the people who's in the other room with you right now, who you're hanging out with?
Yeah, it's my buddy Michael Tarver and Demos, one of the wrestlers here from Florida.
That's pretty. So you're like an honorary member of the NEXUS, because that's Michael Tarver.
Yeah.
That's the guy who knocks him out.
I'm the adopted member of the NEXUS, I guess.
Well, we'll talk about NEXUS and Michael Tarver later, I guess, if we really want to. This is more about you, though. So this All Japan tour comes up. I know you mentioned on the Facebook that D-Lo Brown, an agent for TNA, former WWE wrestler, had something to do with it. Why don't you tell everyone kind of how it comes about where you get booked for a tour going around with All Japan Pro Wrestling? It's All Japan.
Well, this is really, really funny because I was at work, right, and at my shoe job, and I'm here scanning boxes, hating what I'm doing, of course, because that's not what I want to be doing. And I'm like, beep, beep, beep. It's like 8:30 in the morning. I'm like 30 minutes into my job, and next thing you know, I get a Twitter message, and I look at my phone, and it's D-Lo Brown, and he says, would you be interested in coming? I have an offer for you. Would you be interested in doing and coming to Japan? And I immediately threw my scanner down and just stormed to the bathroom. And I'm like, hell yeah! Like, what do I need? And he said, yeah, you need to send me this, this, and that. And next thing you know, I got a call from the All Japan office from the travel agent that sets up all the traveling and all that. And basically, he told me what was the offer, how much I was going to be making, how many days I was going to be there total, how many days, how many matches I was going to do. And then today, I actually found out that it wasn't just D'Lo that hooked it up. It was more like the actual booker for All Japan saw my matches online for somehow he did, and he's like, we gotta book Mr. 450. And I just found out today that it was the actual booker from All Japan that wanted me there, and they got a hold of me through D'Lo Brown because he was there and he knew me. And yeah, that's how kind of it all happened.
Well, let's back it up a little bit real fast, because I like to make this show a little bit educational for the people that are listening to it rather, because I interview comics and pro wrestlers both. Now, you say when they contact you, or D'Lo Brown contacts you about this, that they ask for this, this, and that. Now, what exactly is this and that? Is it a reel? Is it a photo? What exactly are they looking for?
They were not looking for any photos or any footage because they already seen me. They were just asking me for my date of birth, if I had a passport, what airport I was flying out of, um, my date of birth, my passport, my phone number, my address, and all that stuff. Basically, everything you need to get a visa for me to go to Japan.
This sounds
And
awesome. This sounds awesome. Like, you don't even
yeah.
have to do an interview. They've already done the interview for you. You let your
hmm
actions kind of speak for yourself. I also want to know, how did you meet D'Lo Brown? Obviously, D'Lo Brown, is he still a current agent for TNA, or is he no longer an agent for TNA?
No, no, he's not in TNA anymore. The way I met D'Lo was about 2 years ago. I flew down to Orlando for this TNA Gut Check camp tryout thing when before the Gut Check was on TV and the whole deal they were doing, which they're not doing right now because obviously money's tight and they're not looking to hire more people. Um, but yeah, I did the camp, and there was like pretty much every other Florida top guy, quote unquote top guy of Florida, and I was the only guy from out of town from Chicago. And I went there, and I he had me do everything. Blah. I did my lockups with him. I ran my spots with this other guy they had me pair off with that I don't even remember his name. So I did everything with him and whatnot. And next thing you know, he pairs us up into 5 minute matches, and I do my 5 minute match, and right on the dot, everybody else either went over or under their 5 minutes. I right on the dot ended the match in 5 minutes, which was great. And he kind of looked at me like, "You did too good." He said, "How about you wrestle this other guy?" So he had me do two matches instead of one. Everybody else did one match. So he had me wrestle this other guy, do another 5 minute match as a heel again. And you could see him and Errol Hebner like looking at each other like, damn, this motherfucker, like this guy, like where the hell did he come from? And then all the other guys from Florida, you could see in their face like, who the fuck is this guy and why is he here? Why is a Chicago guy flew all the way down here to make us all look bad? Like still to this day, one of the guys that was at the Gut Check, Jason Rents, I've been doing shows for him here, and he's like, yeah, man, I was at that Gut Check, and there had to be this guy. They had to show us all off, like he still kind of has like that little thing, like he's like, you fucker, like he showed all of us off. So anyway, I did the second match. Everything was really good. All had kept praising me like, oh, that's gonna be our next X Division champ. Which to me, I was like, damn it, don't say that. Just give me a damn contract, like don't tease me, And next thing you know, they call us all out to do the promos and all that stuff. I made my promo. The promo was like I would say like a 4 out of 10. Like I wasn't really satisfied with it.
Well, you've always
Um,
worked. I know that that's always been your sticking point with you is you really
hmm
want to get good on your promos. You're a hell of a
yeah.
worker in the ring, but I don't know. I always thought you were a pretty good talker. You're pretty hard on yourself.
But that day I was like, yeah, like I've always been hard on myself because it's all I care about, really. And so I cut the promo. D'Lo pulls me aside after everybody has been told to go home, and he's like, "Would you like to stay for tomorrow?" Because that was a Saturday, and they had tapings from Saturday. Sunday was a pay-per-view. Then Monday through Wednesday they had tapings, because this is when they were back in Orlando. So he's like, "We would like for you to stay the rest of the week and see if we could get you some dark matches." And I was like, "Oh hell yeah, sure." And I showed up the next day to the pay-per-view. I didn't do anything. I showed up on Monday. They're like, okay, tonight I think we're gonna get you a dark match. But Tracy Brooks had brought a guy that Tracy Brooks and Kazarian were like, they had pulls, so like they brought this guy from Canada called Jason Cypress, and he ended up doing the dark match with Jerry Lynn that night. He didn't do too good, and they're like, all right, we're gonna give you another chance tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. And then they told me tomorrow for sure you'll have a match. So that was already Tuesday, and then Tuesday I had my dark match, which was the craziest thing ever, because like right after my dark match was Sting and Ric Flair were about to do a segment to open up Impact Wrestling. So we couldn't go over our time. We had to like go like it was like the 5 minute segment total, like me and him, like between the match and then the entrance. It had to be 5 minutes. So I'm here like scared as fuck. No, I'm pacing back and forth like this guy is like over there working out and like doing whatever, and like he keeps coming over to me to like switch shit or like add more stuff. And like I was already like my state of mind was like I was nervous, and then he kept adding more to my nervousness because he worked the night before and he didn't do too good. So he wanted to like show up and show off the next night and show them that he could work. But he still didn't do that, which was crazy because for some reason he thought that doing all these moves and all this crazy shit was gonna get him over, and it didn't. And it was funny because like me and him were putting the match together, and like we're in the ring, and like in the corner of my eye, I could see Christopher Daniels, and I could see Kid Cash, and I could see Austin Aries, like all three of them in another corner, kind of like beep, 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 like looking at us like we can't wait for these two to fuck up. So
Yeah.
like finally I was like, this guy kept throwing ideas at me that I thought were ridiculous, and I finally just sucked it up and went over to them, and I'm like, guys, this guy has an idea. I keep saying no. What do you guys think about this? And Kid Cash straight off the bat, he looks at the guy, he's like, listen, motherfucker, if you think that any of the moves that you're gonna do here tonight are gonna impress us, then you're fucking dead wrong, buddy. You better cut all that shit off. And then he gave us all this. He gave us like a different finish, and I was like, yeah, like finally, like somebody needed to tell him that what he was wanting to do wasn't right because he wasn't listening to me. So
Now,
anyway,
I was
yeah,
just gonna say, yeah. I mean, was Kid Cash basically saying that you can't impress these guys with moves? I would guess that the way to impress these guys in a dark match like that, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be more about the psychology, showing that you can be, very into the moment, react naturally, like this is an actual sporting event, that sort of thing. Not really showing off the
yeah,
flashy moves as much.
yeah, and the character too. So next thing you know, I'm pacing back and forth right before the match, like 10 minutes before the match. All I'm doing is literally pacing back and forth. Like I'm nervous as shit. I'm ready to go. I know I'm ready to go mentally and physically, but I'm like, fuck, I don't want to fuck up. I don't want to fuck up. I don't want to fuck up. I'm like walking back and forth. Like if I could have made a trail, you could have seen just me walking back and forth. And finally, Miss Jacqueline, she comes up to me. She's like, come here. Calm down. It's gonna be fine.
Did she
And
put
once
your head into her supple breasts?
Oh, I wish, but she grabbed my hands. She grabbed me by the hands and looked at me in the eyes. And she said, calm down. It's going to be all right. And once she said that, I was like, it was like I was Atlas and I just dropped the world.
Right.
So I calmed down. He went out. I went out. I somehow got a big pop because like mentioned, I was from Puerto Rico, and Orlando is very, it's a really Hispanic town, you know. And I got a big pop, blah blah. People were like Puerto Rico and this and this. We go out there, we have our match, boom boom boom, hit the 450, big ass pop. You know, I'm like, God damn, it's over. You know, I go backstage. First person that pulls me is Eric Bischoff. He's like, you did really good out there. They didn't pull the other guy to the side. They pulled me to the side.
Sure.
And who's that back there? Is that Brett? Oh, wait, sorry, there was somebody back there. Anyway, so they started like asking me all these questions, like, do you have a mask? Can you speak Spanish? They're like, because this was by the time where LAX was, or the new version of LAX, whatever they were calling it at the time. They're like, can you speak Spanish? And yeah, and they're like, hey, you be Mexican? I'm like, sir, I could be blue if you need me to. I got a pop out of him with that. And so they're like, okay, so show us your mask. So I was just looking through all my pictures, and like I showed them a picture of the mask that I had. They're like, okay, we like it. We'll give you a call in a few weeks. And this was the same week the Sema Ion got signed. Tony Nese got signed, and Jesse Sorensen got signed, and Kid Cash. So I was like, God, man, that fifth contract has to be for me, you know. So I was like, oh, I just gotta show them more, you know. I had to fly out on Wednesday, so I couldn't stay for the other tapings. So I had to fly out, and anyway, fast forward a couple of months after that, me and D-Lo became really tight. So he kept telling me to come to different amount of house shows. He kept telling me to like show up to this house show, show up to this taping, and show up with your gear. You know, when they came to Chicago last time, I was the only indie guy backstage. A really big deal because, like, you know, like to me, in my opinion, the fact that I was just back there means a whole lot. You know, the fact that I was just back there, you know, waiting for them to tell me, hey, you might have a match, you know, like means a whole lot, even if I don't end up, if even if I end up not doing anything. So D'Lo was always pushing for me. That's one thing that I'm always really grateful for because he always came up to me like, hey, I volunteer you for this segment with Aces and Eight, or hey, I volunteer you for this dark match, but we don't have a person that could play triple duty because they were doing double tapings at the time, so they couldn't have guys like wrestle 3 times, you know, because that's another payday pretty much. So like he really tried before he got released with TNA to get me in there, you know, which I'm really grateful for that. But you know, it never really happened that I got that TV match, and I was almost gonna be on the Destination X pay-per-view, and like 2 days before the pay-per-view, Al Snow texted me. He said, "Yeah, man, we don't have space for you at this one." So I was like, "Oh, you know, like it's like oh, is that climbing that ladder, and then you climb back down, then climb it back up, and climb it back down." But so it's all professional wrestling, I guess.
Yeah, well, one name you threw out there that is kind of on the tips of a lot of wrestling fans' tongues right now is Eric Bischoff, and you've obviously had some firsthand experience with Eric. Do you have any opinions, or was he a nice guy? Do you think he's running TNA into the ground? That's what a lot of people are saying right now. What are your thoughts on Eric Bischoff?
Well, right now, if you really think about if like that's the thing, a lot of people talk, but they don't know what's really going on. When you go back there, there's a lot of people. Eric Bischoff really, you'll never see him with a script. You'll never see him running around with paperwork, which means that he's not the guy doing any TVs. He's just there to like help out here and there. But like the people that run that is a bunch of other people. Like one of the main guys, he used to be in WWE. Like, oh, man, I don't know his name. I know his name, but I keep forgetting. Uh,
Bruce
anyway,
Pritchard?
no, no, not pressured. He was like an agent guy. He
Okay.
was in WWE, and now he's there. But that's one of the guys that runs TV. Bruce Pritchard, he will run the TV, and now Al Snow is part of the production as well. He doesn't deal with talent anymore. Um, so it's changed a lot over the past few months. And Eric Bischoff still has pull. Eric Bischoff can still get you places, and you know, like try to get guys booked and whatnot. but he's not the guy. You know, he's not really the guy. A lot of people give him grief for it, but he's not the guy right now, and he hasn't been for a while. So I mean, I my opinion on him, he's always been really nice to me. I mean, last time in Chicago when they were in Chicago, I straight up went up to him like, hey man, what do I need to do to get a dart match here? Do I gotta kill somebody? I got a pop of I got another pop out of him again, and he's like, he looked at me, he's like, you're really hungry, aren't you? And I'm like, yep. And he left. He's like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna try to get you a dart match. And then he came back. He's like, yeah, tonight we don't have space because TV tapings are really tight and this and this and that. But we'll try for next time.
Well, that's
You know.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That you've got a guy like Bischoff like that in your corner, especially in TNA. But you're not really so focused on a TNA at the moment, I gather, because you've got this All Japan tour coming up. So let's get back to All Japan a little bit right now. You said the booker himself actually saw you online and wanted to book you. Who is the booker right now for All Japan Pro Wrestling?
I don't really know I never met him, so I don't really know his name. I know he used to be the Great Muda, and now it's a different person. I found out that he wanted me because I'm friends with Kayoshi, who was in TNA right now, or Akira Raijin. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and we known each other for a couple of years. And he was the one that told me, but I still haven't found out his name. You know, he just told me Booker. So, you know, and you know how they are with their names. They have all weird different names that I can barely pronounce anyway. So. I still haven't met him. I'm pretty sure I'll meet him I'll meet him once I'm there. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about this. Like I couldn't even believe it. You know, once I got the message, I was like, oh my god, there's no way. You know, like there's no way because like you know how wrestling is. Like it's roller coaster. You know, and like a few months ago, I was in Chicago and I was like, man, like I quit my job and like I was kind of like going downhill. I stopped working out and everything, and then I came down here. It was like a new breath of fresh air, you know, and like everything started picking up and like getting better and getting better and getting better. So you know, like, and then this thing came up, and I was like, man, wow, like it's crazy.
Now, I would go out of my way to guess that there's not a lot of Puerto Ricans on the All Japan Pro Wrestling roster. Are you going to be the only Puerto Rican down over there in Japan? And why did they necessarily want to bring you in? Are they trying to go after that Hispanic market, or is it just they like to have variety?
I wish I could answer that. I know I am the only Puerto Rican that will be there. I know they had Super Crazy and Ricky Marvin not that long ago. But I know Puerto Rican wrestlers that been there don't stay because like the ones that been there have been Carlito and his primo, who is now in WWE, Epico, or one half of the Matadors. And they had a different style compared to my style. My style is more like Japanese lucha libre style compared to like Carlito and Epico. Their style is more like brawler Puerto Rican, like straight up Puerto Rican style, which is like kick and punch, you know, a high spot here and there, but it's more like WWE-ish style. So I think I by them bringing me in, like they made I think why they want to bring me in, because they made the right choice. Like, okay, this guy's Puerto Rican, but this guy could work our style, you know. Like,
Right.
it's not like I'm gonna go there and try to like punch and kick the whole match, or like try to bleed, or like try to slow it down, because you know that's not my style. My style is more like boom, 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 boom. We go slow it down. Boom, boom, boom. We go slow it down and bring it up. You know, so like I've always wanted to work that style, and that was one of my, like, when I came to Chicago the first time, like when I went to Chicago like the first time about 5 years ago, my mindset was like, okay, I'm gonna use Chicago as a stepping stone to either go to Mexico or go to Japan, and that's the first thing I said to myself. And then I ended up going to Mexico. I did that, and then now I'm going to Japan. So like I've been setting, like I set some goals, and like finally they're starting to happen. But my style and that Japanese style, I think they're bringing me in because I could work their style, you know. And I'm not a really big guy, you know, like I'm not gonna be throwing guys around, but I could work with their cruiserweights and I could work with their big guys too. So
Now, Japan is notorious. It's known for this stronger man style. It's a much stiffer style. Are you at all nervous about walking into that environment where you know that they're going to be working a little bit more stiff over there, or is this just kind of another day at the office for you?
I feel like it's another day at the office. I mean, I've been getting, I mean, the last 2 3 months, I've been spending time making my body get used to something like that, preparing my body for that. Like I've been training lately, like I'm going into a big fight with Floyd Mayweather.
You
Like
look
think about
gigantic. You look the biggest I've ever seen you.
yeah, yeah. So like I mean, and this is crazy. I weigh less than last time we saw each other. So
Really?
like I've been packing on yeah, I've been packing on muscle but losing all the fat. Um I'm like 175, 180 now. I was like 195 when I left Chicago. So I've been training like I'm going into this big fight, and I've been doing it for like since before I left Chicago, and me and Justin Reno were training together. So I mean, I do like I've been doing a lot of cardio, and I'm pretty sure that still the cardio that I'm doing it might not be enough, but I'm stepping it up each day, and I'm doing different stuff like CrossFit training and whatnot. And then I'm training with bigger guys, like I train with Tarver and Demos too, because they're like 245 pounders. So I'm training with big guys. So like I'm trying to get my body used to the punishment that is about to receive for the next 2 weeks. Um, yeah, like all I've been doing is that. Just like my mindset is just like, even like if I thought about wrestling 24/7, I think about wrestling even when I'm sleeping right now. Like I barely get any sleep right now. Like all I think about is that. Like right now, my like when I have time off, like I straight from work, I go to the gym, I get out, I do my shakes, I start watching wrestling. I'll do some abs while I'm watching wrestling. I mean, I'll punch the bag. I do some shadow boxing. I'm doing everything that I need to do to get my body ready for this. And again, I worked in Puerto Rico, so Puerto Rico is a really strong style as well. I was 15 years old, and I was getting beat up by 34-year-old guys that were over 230, 40 pounds. So like it's something that I'm prepared for and that I've been used to for many years. And I feel like now it's that time that, finally I could like be able to let go of that side of me, and be able to just, because I work strong style, but like when I came to the States and I started working in Chicago and other feds, I worked a little lighter because guys complained a lot. But I've always liked the strong style. So I know I'm prepared, and hopefully it will show once I'm over there in Japan. So.
Sure.
And I'm gonna be at the dojo for like 3 days before I start the tour, so that's another thing.
Now, let's say this all goes very well. They love you in Japan. You get over in Japan. Everybody, all the workers like working with you. The producers like working with you. The agents. You get offered to stay. Are you prepared to stay in Japan for a long period of time if that happens?
Oh yeah, that's what that I want. That's what I'm going for. Just getting as over as I could get. Like it's like I want to be the Puerto Rican Prince Devitt. If you make it, I was telling my friends, I'm like, if I could stay in Japan like Prince Devitt did and get as over as he did, I'm set for life. So like
It's true.
because like a lot of people like see it as, oh, if you make it to WWE, you made it. But there's always life after and before WWE, and there's way more other places that you can make money and make the same amount of money that you wouldn't even think of. Like this, the if I'm not gonna say how much money I'm making in Japan, but the money that I'm making there is way more that I've made in probably the past 3 years or 4 years wrestling put together, and in my job. So it's like if I could become a big star in Japan, why wouldn't I want to stay? Like, and that's another thing. It would kind of be like a rub in the face to the people that never gave me a chance. Like, fuck you guys. Like you never gave me a chance, but I'm over here in Japan doing my own thing. So
Yeah. Getting to tell
yeah.
people to go fuck themselves because of your success is always a lot of fun.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
all right. Well, we actually don't have like a lot of time left. This went by really fast. I just want to get your thoughts real fast on a few things. Then we'll do another interview another time. When you get back from Japan, we'll talk about you getting into the business and everything. Because I really just wanted to hop on this while it was hot. But you brought up earlier that you did Gut Check. Now, Gut Check is obviously something that's not around anymore. Do you think the Gut Check is something that they should bring back, or do you think that they should keep it dead? What are your thoughts on the TNA Gut Check challenge?
I think they should keep it that because like they never did anything with any of the guys that they hired anyways, and but hold them back, in my opinion. I mean, the only guy that they're using is Jay Bradley, which is probably the second to third biggest guy in the company, and he's jobbing out to the smaller guys, So
Why do you think that is? Do you think why is Brad that whipping boy for that company right now? I should have him on the show. Maybe he could answer that. He'd probably do the fucking show, But why do you think it?
I mean, you never know. It could be backstage politics. It could be anything from backstage politics to just the fact that he's not over. It might. It's just things that happen. It's just wrestling. Wrestling is a weird world. It's. I mean, I wish I could answer that, but it's just things that you never know. It's like wrestling's crazy, and like.
Yeah.
But I really think they shouldn't bring it back, honestly, because like everybody else has won it, and they're really bitter if you talk to them. Like, yeah, they never did anything with me, like, yeah.
It sounds like a good way to piss off a lot of indie wrestlers, honestly. That gut check thing did, I know, sour a lot of indie guys to the TNA product over that. All right, well, let's get to the finale here. You got Michael Tarver in the other room. Do you want to bring him on to give you an endorsement here at the end, so I can have a fun little you and Michael Tarver endorsement at the end here?
Yeah, let me bring him. Let me bring Tarver on over here.
Yeah, let's do a surprise. Let's do a surprise.
What are you guys watching? Oh, they're watching comment. Oh, they're watching a roast over here.
Okay.
Here's my buddy Michael Tarver. That's my buddy.
What's going on, man?
Ronaldo Piven.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, bud. Good, Mike. Hey, I just wanted to have your thoughts real fast.
Wait, let me put this on.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's got the headphones on.
He's listening to you. Wait.
What's up, man? What's going on?
You're here. I had no idea you were gonna be there. This is about 450. I wanted to get you to endorse 450 while you're there.
Oh, of course, man. Mr. 450 is one of the most exciting, agile, athletic luchadors in the entire world, not just the United States. I've seen this man go nuts in Puerto Rico. I've seen him do it in Florida. It's a bad boy. He definitely got my stamp of approval, man. Definitely.
Badass, Mike. Hey, thanks so much for coming on the show, dude. This is awesome. I don't know. I feel like I should ask you something, but I don't. Off the top of my head, I don't know. How was the NEXUS? I don't know what.
NEXUS was great.
Cool.
NEXUS was great.
Cool, man. This is about 450. I just wanted to get you to plug him. Yeah, cool.
No
Thanks
problem.
So much.
My pleasure.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
You got it, bro.
Yo,
that's
you
hilarious.
had to ask about the NEXUS, huh?
Of course I did. Of course I did. What the fuck else do you think I'm gonna ask him? What was it like? What was it like hanging out backstage and watching people ominously for the last 2 months of your career? I don't know. I wasn't gonna say that.
He did beat like everybody up in WWE pretty much.
No, I'm well aware that he beat the shit out of a lot of people in the WWE, but this is about you. I just wanted him to endorse you. I think people would be real pissed off listening to this if they're like, "Why did you fucking ask about the NEXUS?" Well, I did. He said it was great. So anyway, well, that wraps it up, John. Let's finish by letting the people out there in the world know where they can find you on the internet, Twitter and Facebook.
Oh, yeah, if you want to find me on Facebook, you can go facebook.com/450Hammett, just like Hammett from Metallica, 2 M's, 2 T's. Or you can find me on Twitter at 450Flying, one word, 450Flying, like flying in the air.
And is there anything else that you want to plug? Any projects? You got a Kickstarter? What do you got going? Anything?
Yeah, that's about it. You could always check me out on Facebook and try to see what companies I'm working for. And, I'm working for some of the best companies in Florida, so try to follow them, too, and see what's going on with them. You can follow Michael Tarver, too, my buddy. And you can follow Demos. He says he puts out on the first date, right? So, life is great right now, and I keep following the Nick Hausman show. You're one of my good friends from back in the days, and I'm glad you're still doing good, buddy, and I'm happy. I'm happy for you. I got a lot of love for you.
I know, buddy. Thanks so much. It was really nice to get you while this was hot. I'm gonna try to get this some play for you, and we'll have you back when you're back from Japan. We'll interview you again, see how things went, and kind of see where the future holds for you.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you later, John. Well, guys, that was my interview with Mr. 450. Man, that guy can talk. I am so used to having to ask questions and pull things out of people and all that type stuff. And man, you get that guy going, and he will let you know everything that happened, from the Bischoffs, the D-Los, the Al Snows, the TNAs, the WWEs, the AWPWs, all of it. It's in there. Man, what a great interview. And to have Michael Tarver on there at the end, Tony was like... Tony Scarpone, he toured with the WWE, but Michael Tarver, I guess, is the first former official WWE talent to be on the Nick Hausman show, albeit even if it's just for like a minute. But he was still there. Pretty fun. All right, guys, well, this is the part of the show right now where I am going to do a brief synopsis of what we've been talking about on the internet, me, you, everybody. First of all, the post that I put up of Mr. 450 saying that it's going to be the two of us doing the show together this week received almost 400 hits on Facebook. Guys, that's incredible. That's double what I typically get for announcements over on Facebook. Just want to thank everybody out there for sharing it, commenting on it, liking it. That stuff helps. It looks great on my analytics. And again, the closer I get to sponsors and things like that, that info is just going to help. So the more you can share, the more you can like, the more you can comment. It's always appreciated, guys. I really do, really, from the bottom of my heart, really do appreciate that. Let's jump over to Twitter now. Man, what a great Twitter week it's been. Up over 60 followers, guys. How the hell did this happen? I don't know. So let's see here real fast what's going on. I did some. We talked about that last time. Toby Hope, very happy. He was very pleased. He's the creative for Blitz Pro Wrestling. He loved the Tony Scarpone interview. Thank you, Toby. Hopefully down the road I can get you on here as well. I'm not lying. I've got 3 interviews lined up right now for the next 3 shows. So I've got us booked till episode 10, and I'll get into those here in just a second, who they are. But Toby, you're definitely on the list. Court Bauer and Conan, former WWE writer Court Bauer and Conan, continue to jockey back and forth with me. Court Bauer, I just want to thank you so much for actually taking the time to, it seems, listen to a bit of the show. He said good luck on the show, and he loved the intro song. I like the intro song, too. Thank you. Malcolm West continues to support. Thank you so much, as does Sherman Edwards. There was no review away this week, no review and Impact this week over on the Live Audio Wrestling Network. I do encourage you, if you like podcasts like this, if you like listening to people, my buddies John Pollock and Wei Ting, I've been on their show, Live Audio Wrestling, I think twice now. Review a Raw. I don't remember it might have been Review and Impacts, but I've done 2 interviews with those guys about pro wrestling over the years. Great guys, Pollock and Wei. Thanks so much for your support. Thanks for getting back to me. Nate Milton, another guy from Live Audio Wrestling. What was it? Oh yeah, he said that he just saw a frog outside, and he had the same reaction to that most women do. He's cute, but I don't want him in my house life. And then I said, until you kiss it, then he sweeps you off your feet and into your house and life forever. To which Nate said, bravo, brother. I'll keep that in mind the next time I'm pitching woo. Well played. Thanks so much, Nate. Nate is a contributor for Review and Impact with John and Wei. Again, go listen to those guys. Very, very funny, very cool guy. Martin Morrow, Bradley Grace, David Grooms, thanks for retweeting and favoriting some of my stuff. Martin Morrow is another fun comic around the city. We'll have him on down the road. We talked a little bit about Raw Online, as does Sean O'Rourke. And then, of course, just kind of finished it up, tweeting about Mr. 450, and 450 and I went back and forth, kind of hyping the show. Oh, I did do a tweet last night. I downloaded this app called the Tinder app. Now, the Tinder app is, what I'm told, it's like Grindr for straight people. I don't know if you guys know what Grindr is, but Grindr is an app that gay men use to find out where other gay men are near them and who are looking to flirt or meet up or grab a drink or whatever. But Tinder is this kind of app for straight people, and it seems way too easy. Just download it. It finds your location. It says, are you looking for man or woman? I said woman. Within 15 miles of my location. I should probably shrink that a little bit, but within 15 miles. And then it starts bringing up people that are on the site that are within the distance of me. And you can either say I'm interested or I'm not interested. You go back and forth. Now, if you're interested, you have to wait till that other person also over time finds your profile and says, I'm also interested in this person. And then if you both are interested in each other, it allows you to chat and set up a meeting together. So Next show, I'll give another review of how my time on Tinder is going, whether it's working, whether I've met somebody, whether I haven't met somebody. We'll see how it goes. And that's about it, guys. That kind of wraps it up for this week. I am going to do an overrun with my buddy Darren Fentress. So the show's going to end here. Again, go over to @NickHausmanShow. Follow me on Twitter. Like me on Facebook at facebook.com/NickHausmanShow. But at the end of the closing song here, if you stick around, there might be a little break. I don't really know how I'm going to do it. But my buddy Darren Fentress and I are going to be talking about pro wrestling, the interview I just did with 450, life, politics. Maybe we'll even do some more philosophy of science stuff like I did at the top of the show. Who knows? Anyways, thanks so much for listening into this show, episode 7. Episode number 8. Yeah, let's talk about episode number 8. I have 2 guests lined up right now for episode number 8. And I don't know which one I'm going to get to first. The first one is my buddy Aaron Sherholm, who works in the offices of Second City, which is everybody, Second City Comedy Theater. I'm very interested to pick his brain about what goes on there day to day. He's available early next week, as is my good friend Susan Messing. And Susan's a legend in the Chicago improv scene. I mean, without Susan, a lot of the people doing improv in the city right now would maybe not be doing improv, and definitely would not be doing it the way that they're doing it right now. Great teacher, great performer, and she's agreed to do the show. So next week sometime, we are going to have Susan Messing on faux show. So keep your ear to the ground for that one. All right, guys, that's it for episode 7. Thanks so much for listening, and I will talk to you guys later. Take care. Goodbye. Later. Boom.
Time to get a little bit of that overrun action in your life. Talk a little pro wrestling with Nick and Darren.
All right, guys, this is the overrun. It's me and Darren talking here about whatever we want. I'm gonna go ahead and set the timer, but we usually don't really look at it too hard, do we here, buddy?
It's the overrun. If you're still with us, then you don't care about time. You've got nothing better to do.
It's true. You're just killing time at your job or desk or whatever. But what I wanted to tell you, Darren, I got to lead off. This was pretty funny. So I just interviewed 450, right?
How'd it go?
It went real well. That guy is a talker. I didn't get to say much in that interview. He's got a really interesting story. We talked about TNA, Gut Check. He's done dark matches for them, how he got signed by All Japan Pro Wrestling, everything. I mean, this guy, I've known 450 for a long time, but when you actually hear him kind of lay it all out, I mean, Jesus, this guy's hustling,
Cool.
But here's the funny thing. So we start the interview, and we had to restart because there was too much noise in the room. He was actually in like the kitchen, and there were people in the other room, like right next to him, watching a Comedy Central roast. And I was like, dude, go to another room. This is chaos right now. He goes, I'm sorry, my friends are in the room. My friend Demo and my other friend Michael Tarver. And I was like, wait, are you talking about
Michael Tarver?
I was like, are you talking about the Michael Tarver from
NEXUS?
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, that Michael Tarver. There's only one Michael Tarver.
So when he was in the room with him, did he have that thing over his mouth?
No.
Like he was all like a bandit?
He didn't. But here's the thing. Is I knew that, and I was like, okay. I was like, that's really cool. Michael Tarver's in the room. You got to figure out a way to work this into the interview, right? Because it's Michael Tarver, right? So we do the interview with 450, and then at the end, I'm like, hey, 450, why don't you bring Michael Tarver into the room so he can endorse you, And he's like, okay. So at the end of the interview with 450, I actually get Michael Tarver on the podcast.
That's pretty cool.
It was. He endorsed 450, and then I was like, well, I've got you here. I was like, this is supposed to be an interview about 450. What did you think about the NEXUS? And he goes, it was great, man. I go, cool, we'll put 450 back on the line. This is about it. So yeah, I just
he was just happy to be there.
he was, dude. But I mean, 450s. I mean, they're roommates now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was just really funny. Michael Tarver made it onto the Nick Hausman show. He is the first former WWE superstar to appear on my show.
First of many.
First of many, right? Yeah, of course. I'm definitely gonna have more WWE superstars on my show. I got Susan Messing coming up next week.
Hey, that'll be fun.
Yeah, she's a smart lady. I'm gonna give her more time. We're probably gonna do like 45 minutes, or maybe I don't know. I did a little over 30 with 450 or John. But anyway, I had to get that out of the way. How is your life? How is paralegaling? How is everything?
Things are going well. You know, I don't have any complaints. I'll be happy when payday comes.
Yeah, dude.
I'm scraping by over here, just barely, you know. Counting quarters.
Yeah, did you win at poker last night?
No, I did horrible. You know what? I mean, I just wasn't getting any of the cards, and then finally when I was getting cards, somebody else got better cards. So
that's always the way of it, man.
I flopped a flush with King 8 of clubs, and somebody had the Ace 6 of clubs. And so it was just one of those nights, you know.
So are you flat broke now? Like, now that you've lost this $10 that you put on this poker game?
I counted change, and I've been bringing a sack of change with me to the train station so I can go to work.
Yeah.
It's one of them days. Yeah.
I talked at the top of the show. I'm trying to find a job right now, obviously. I applied at Whole Foods today. And I'm hopeful to get that job. Alex Mack and Franzen work there, and they speak very highly of it. So I'm gonna.
Well, hopefully they'll speak very highly of you, and they'll get you hired on.
They did. I applied in the same department as Alex Mack, and so he's gonna go in tomorrow and try to put me over and see if I can't get this thing rushed along. But we'll see. I would like Whole Foods would be great, man. You get not only you get benefits, but they have a deep discount on their food, and like Whole Foods is like good food. And so if I could shop at Whole Foods on like an Aldi's budget, that'd be so badass.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Sign me up.
You want to go work at Whole Foods with me?
No.
Oh.
No.
Dude,
no, I don't.
They both said, man, it's so great to work at. You never leave angry. Everyone that works there is so happy and nice. And I was like, that sounds like the opposite of everywhere I've ever worked. So
it sounds like utopia.
What? Right, but how many things do I have to sell per month? No, Nick, you're not required to sell. There's no quotas. What? Are you kidding me? So yeah, let's talk about wrestling.
Okay. What would you like to talk about in wrestling?
Let's talk about. Well, first of all, let's talk about. Did you get to see the Dixie Carter heel turn?
Yeah, I did. Can you really call it a heel turn? I mean, she's kind of just letting AJ have it in, you know, his own way. He's been touting about how he's been carrying the company on his back, and she's had to listen to that for so darn long. She just seemed to be sick of it, you know. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't know. At this point, they're grasping at straws in TNA. Anything to get you to want to keep watching their product. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, to me, it kind of feels like the company is obviously in trouble. And I tried to get 450 to open up about this a little bit because, you know, he went through Gut Check and, you know, he's had conversations with Bischoff and D-Lo and Al Snow. And he was a little close to the vest about it. He didn't open up, you know, as much as I would have maybe liked, probably because he doesn't want to completely burn a bridge there or whatever. But he didn't pin it on Bischoff, and he just said that they've been making a lot of changes recently, and, you know, he's hoping that they kind of turn things around. So I don't know. It still seems to me like the company's in trouble, and these are like the last two executives left at the company. It's like AJ and Dixie. And they're blaming each other for why things have gone so badly, you know? And, like, when you get to that kind of pissing contest, you know that the end can't be too far away.
Well, yeah, that's not I mean, when you're sitting there pissing on your product and you're blaming each other, that's not going to be a good... it's not going to be a good thing. You want to talk about how great it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have two people here. You've got AJ Styles saying to Dixie, well, you're a shitty business person. And you got Dixie looking at AJ going, well, you're a shitty wrestler. And then what does that make me, a shitty fan? Like, if I'm watching this fucking garbage? Like...
Yes, we should all feel just shitty. everybody in the world who has anything to do with TNA, whether you watch it, whether you're a part of it, you should feel shitty.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's like, I can't wait till Dixie just looks at the fans and goes, "This thing would already be dead if you people would stop fucking watching this shit." Like, that's how I feel, how she feels on the inside. I was listening to a podcast the other day, Review Away, where they were reviewing an old NWA TNA pay-per-view, like one of the original ones, before Dixie Carter had taken over. And it sounded like it was a clusterfuck, like it's always been. But I didn't know that Dixie Carter was actually, like, she was in the PR department for TNA. And, like, TNA was about to go out of business because they were running those weekly pay-per-views. Like, their TV show was a weekly pay-per-view. That was the idea. It was like a $10 pay-per-view. And the company was in dire straits. And that's when Dixie, I guess, stood up out of nowhere and was like, well, my dad's a millionaire. He'll just buy this thing. And everyone was just like, oh. And she kind of just fell into it. I mean, it kind of...
So it wasn't too far off the mark, the things AJ was saying then.
No. I mean, but people have been saying this for years about Dixie Carter, And it's... The problem is Dixie wants to pay to keep friends and family around. She's very open about how TNA is like a family. But at the other end, you got her mom and her dad, Bob and Janice Carter, who are coming in saying, no, this is a business, Dixie. You can't just throw money around like this. We're going to have to fire people. And then it's really not Dixie's call when they fire people like Jesse Sorensen or, everyone else that they fired recently. That was Dixie's parents' call.
Well, and she can keep saying, it's like a family, but every family's got black sheep, and it's like, well, in this TNA family, we don't mind getting rid of some people we don't like.
Yeah, but
it's a family.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing is, it doesn't seem like anybody. The locker room seems to get along. I mean, John 450, that was one of the things he really seemed to hammer home was just how everybody was so tight at TNA. So, it's sad to watch it happen. I hope, whatever. I don't see this. I just don't see this angle doing any business. I kind of just feel like it's a nail in a coffin right now. So, whatever. Let's move on. Let's move to WWE. WWE did Raw this past week. It wasn't their best Raw, and I feel like we're being super negative right now.
I don't want to be super negative about everything, but you know what? I will say yes. The storylines on Raw, they're starting to get a little stale. Like, we're not seeing anything really new between Daniel Bryan or the Big Show. Although the Big Show did have no problem whatsoever knocking out the Miz. So I don't know. Maybe he's starting to get used to being Stephanie's little puppet.
Well, it just reminds me a lot of the John Laurinaitis storyline, where he won over Big Show in very similar fashion, and he,
Did you say they're bringing John Laurinaitis back on television?
Well, he did a house show appearance.
Okay.
He did a house show appearance over the weekend, and basically, I don't know what it was, but I think Brad Maddox couldn't be there, and they needed an authority figure, and so John Laurinaitis was just like the fill-in. I think he's been working more as an agent backstage, so he was just sitting around, not doing anything, and they were like, hey, go be a heel. And he's like, ooh, excellent. So,
all right.
I don't know. Do you think John Laurinaitis would help this storyline at all?
You really don't need him. You still got this whole corporate angle with the McMahons and Triple H. It'd be weird to see him then suddenly get thrown in the mix as like another corporate figurehead. I mean, how many of those do we really need to, quash the hopes and dreams of all the face superstars on the roster, right?
Yeah, I agree. And it is, it's one of those things where you say it's becoming very repetitive. I feel like I can always expect 3 things from a Raw. The first thing, actually probably 4 things. I can expect the same 4 things, and I bet you these 4 things happen on the next episode of Raw. 1, Triple H will start the show talking about how he's doing what's best for business and burying whoever. And it's weird because right now he's started doing this thing where he's kind of a good guy.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not a bad guy. I have to do what's best for business.
And he even started the last pay-per-view with the "Are you ready?" And everyone was like, DX. He's like, "Are you ready?" And it just doesn't feel like a heel thing to do. It's a little confusing, I think. But anyway, you can always bank on him starting the show. That's at the 7 o'clock hour. At the 8 o'clock hour, you're going to get some kind of Stephanie McMahon segment, usually with the Big Show, where he knocks somebody out. 9 o'clock hour, you're going to get CM Punk, Paul Heyman, Ryback, Curtis Axel doing whatever. Mm-hmm. And then in the main, you're going to get Daniel Bryan and The Shield in whatever combination they like to do that week. That sounds pretty standard now, right?
I mean, that's what we've been watching for over a month now, so yeah.
I just, and it's weird because they did the build to Night of Champions, and we're, 2 weeks from Battleground now? It's not this Sunday, is it?
And what the heck is Battleground? It's just the name of a pay-per-view, I guess? I mean, there's nothing... I don't know. I'm so used to now all the pay-per-views having some sort of, like, theme or being centered around a certain match type or, kinds of matches. You've got your Extreme Rules, you've got your Money in the Bank.
I don't know what's going on, man. This thing's weird. I just got a bright red message that said that this is not recording, close and restart. And so I closed and I restarted. And now it looks like it's working just fine. So I don't know what the fuck's going on.
All right. Well.
But anyway, like I was saying with Battleground, Battleground was supposed to be War Games, which is, 2 rings, 2 cages, or 1 cage, 1 giant cage. And it was typically a blow-off to like a big feud down in the South when it was going on. But there's really, if you're going to do a War Games match, I'd feel like you'd want to do it. They already have Elimination Chamber. They've already got Hell in a Cell. This would be a 3rd cage match. The only one I could see being settled right now, like I said, would be the Rhodes family versus the McMahons.
Sure. And, typically in this time of year, they used to have another throw-off or throwaway pay-per-view, Bragging Rights.
Yeah, what a dumb idea that was.
Yeah, that was not a good pay-per-view ever.
Well, the thing about Bragging Rights that was poorly thought out was they already do Survivor Series, and Survivor Series is already kind of a team-on-team, bragging rights type match. You can already do SmackDown versus Raw, so it just seemed a little repetitive. This Battleground pay-per-view, it kind of... What were some of those old names? Vengeance.
They had Breaking Point one year.
Do you remember Capital Punishment?
No, I don't remember that one.
Capital Punishment was the event they did from Washington, D.C.
That's right.
2 years ago. Do you remember the main event?
No.
Oh, man. How could you possibly forget the main event? John Cena versus R-Truth.
Wait a minute. Whoa, that was a real main event to a pay-per-view?
Are you on a computer?
Yeah, but I don't... Oh, boy.
Look it up. Capital Punishment. Remember, because that was when R-Truth was doing... This is how wrestling nerdy stupid I am. This is when R-Truth was doing the whole angle, remember, where he wore the Confederate soldier uniform to the ring that one time? And, I don't remember. He was in the South or something like that. But, yeah, they were pushing R-Truth as, a main eventer. That was the one pay-per-view he got to main event. It was R-Truth versus John Cena.
Well, good for him. But, yeah, that's an easy pay-per-view to forget about.
Not me, man. Not me.
Well, apparently not. Apparently not. You love these things.
I do. But, yeah, all these, little one-off... You're right. They've already got the audience so accustomed to these themed pay-per-views, it seems a little anti-productive to do one that's not. People really seem to like these themed pay-per-views, so why not? What's another theme you could do? What's something that they could do? They could do like an Iron Man show where they only have 3 matches. That could be fun.
I will say this. I miss Iron Man matches, like really good Iron Man matches. I don't know why we don't have a CM Punk Daniel Bryan Iron Man match at like a WrestleMania or something.
Well, they're talking right now about making the Daniel Bryan Randy Orton match at this upcoming Battleground pay-per-view an Iron Man match. And
are they? Then I would be all for that then. All of a sudden, I will watch Battleground and be happy.
Yeah, no, both those guys can put on a heck of heck of a Iron Man match. Let me see real fast. I'm going on the WWE website. Shows. Battleground. I wanted to see how many matches they have announced, because if you're going to do an Iron Man match, you can't have too many matches announced, you know what I mean?
We have that. We have the Del Rio RVD rematch. See, it's like basically Night of Champions all over again. I think everything's
Dude,
they should just call this rematch instead of Battleground.
I'm looking at the WWE Battleground preview right now, okay? These are the announced matches. And they've only got one more Raw before the pay-per-view, right?
Right, yeah. This is, again, very quick turnaround between pay-per-views.
Here are the matches announced for this show. Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton. Alberto Del Rio versus Rob Van Dam. CM Punk versus Ryback. That's it. 3 matches. If you're going to do an Iron Man match, this is the kind of... I mean, you got time, obviously. You only got 3 announced matches. You know, if you're going to do an Iron Man match, now's the time, you would think, right?
Sure.
CM Punk versus Ryback, real fast, by the way. Let's talk about this. Did you like... I thought that was the highlight of this past Raw, was the CM Punk, Ryback, Paul Heyman stuff. I really, really, really like Ryback in this role, you know?
Sure. There was a moment in Paul Heyman's speech that I thought of you. I was like, oh, Nick's got to be getting a real kick out of this. When he's talking about how Chicago is the second city with second-rate teams and second-rate families and second-rate parents, and then he made a jab at CM Punk's parents. And when I heard that, I knew you must be marking out over there.
Well, I don't really... first of all, I've done a very similar promo to the one that Paul Heyman cut there with the whole second city, second rate, all that type of stuff. But I didn't pop when he made that line about, oh, you know about bad parenting, because I've met CM Punk. I know his brother Mike well enough, but what I know about Mike Brooks, Phil's brother, is a really nice guy. He is an X-ray technician, and he's told me, that Punk's basically full of shit about his family being all these assholes. He's just like a pissed off fucking punk rock kid that's still 15 years old, and he claims up and down that his mom and dad are nice people, and his dad wasn't a drunk, and I gotta wonder. I mean, he's got a Punk has a restraining order against his mom, who has said is trying to exploit him for money, or she's going to kill herself. I don't know how much truth there is to that. But just to me, it's in really poor taste. I don't care how bad of terms you're on with your mom, your dad, or your family. You just don't make it public like that. And especially if somebody's thinking about killing themselves, you don't want to fucking have somebody out there burying them, calling them a terrible person on national TV. Is that going to make you happy if that comment drives your mom to kill herself? Is that going to be okay with you? It seems really fucked up to me, Okay,
yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, it's just, I like Punk enough as a performer. I think he's starting to look a little too much like a Wicker Park bike messenger, but, he does, right? He does look like a Wicker Park bike messenger. But it's just, I just think things like that are just so shitty, and it really kind of takes me out of it for a second. I really want to enjoy the angle, but, fuck that guy. There's better things you could be getting heat off of than, burying a guy's fucking family. The other thing about that I thought was interesting, did you see that bump? I mean, Ryback tried to put Punk through that table and did not put Punk through that table. And I thought about knocked him out. I think he got bloodied after that.
It looked harsh. It did.
Yeah. Sorry, I was drinking water and then I had a piece of ice in my mouth for a second. Yeah, it looked harsh. And apparently there's a story floating around online. I saw a buddy of mine who's pretty credible, friends possibly with who I just talked about, saying that Ryback was confronted in the back by Punk about Ryback was confronted by, I think, an agent that said, hey, you only had one job to put Punk through that table, and it got all fucking botched. And Ryback said that Punk needs to learn to bump better, and then Punk found out about it and tried to kick the shit out of Ryback legitimately backstage and was held apart by Curtis Axel, and then I guess Triple H talked to both of them separately. So I don't take it with a grain of salt. But
a little bit of backstage heat from that angle, nice.
But if that's true, man, that's gonna make that
Save
match...
it for when the cameras are rolling, fellas.
Dude, yeah. I mean, have you listened to the Jerry Lawler interviews on the Steve Austin show yet?
No, I have not.
Jerry Lawler talks about when he was working down in Memphis, how the promoter had a sign on the wall and it said, "Personal problems make money."
Nice.
And I just thought that was pretty funny. But if that's true, if that story's even close to true, that CM Punk Ryback match is going to be, I think, better than it would have been otherwise, just because that natural heat usually brings out the best in performers. And then let's close this out by talking about the last match here announced for WWE Battleground. Alberto Del Rio versus Rob Van Dam. Man, I
care less. Another rematch from Night of Champions, and Rob Van Dam doesn't have a whole lot of time. Like he's only under contract through October, so we're not going to strap him.
Well, Rob Van Dam is under contract, I think, for longer than that, but he has it in his contract where he gets, I think it's 90 days on and then 90 days off. I think it's something like that. So basically, you can test me for 90 days, but then you can't test me for 90 days. Because I think he just was like, I'm not going to stop smoking pot for a full year.
Okay. All right.
I need some time in between performances.
But he's got Ricardo Rodriguez now who can pee for him, right?
I don't think that they will let that happen. But you make a good...
He just hands Ricardo Rodriguez the cup, says, "Here you go, buddy. Take care of this for me."
Of course, yeah. He used to do it for Del Rio all the time. That's like that's one of the benefits. And yeah, Del Rio, we got these Los Matadores coming in. And,
oh boy.
And Del Rio has got to move away from RVD after this, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but it just seems like, who are you going to put this guy with? I mean, you're going to have the American, all Americans, whatever the fuck they're called, the real Americans, tied up with Los Matadores. You would think that they would be the ones to feud with Del Rio next, but it looks like they're going to be the real Americans are going to fight Los Matadores. And
yeah, why not? That makes sense.
Oh, absolutely makes sense. And I actually think that'll be an entertaining feud. Especially if it's true that Los Matadores are bringing a midget bull with them into the whole act, which for me, and I heard Conan talk about that. If they have a midget dressed like a bull, I'm sold. I'm so sold on this whole thing.
So who ends up going face right there? Because I will say this crowds have been popping pretty heavy for the Real Americans as of late. Even though they're still doing that whole Tea Party angle, the crowds are popping.
It's a very
when they do a big move and then they stand there and they're like, "We the people," the fans just go nuts.
How can you not like these guys? They got a short catchphrase that Americans already love, "We the people," which is it's on our currency, and it's easy to say, and it sounds good in a large group of people. But B, you got Antonio Cesaro in there, who is just so inherently entertaining in the ring. I mean,
how long before he's world champion?
He won't be he'll be the world heavyweight champion before he's WWE champ.
Right. How long?
Well,
think we see it in the next year.
Well, let's see. You got Del Rio right now, and then they're gonna have to get the belt off Del Rio onto a face, so that the face can fight Damian Sandow, who's next in line. So it's got to go Del Rio. So we got to think who's Del Rio's next opponent for the title.
Well, shoot, we could strap Rob Van Dam and put it on Sandow then.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I think, the way they emblazoned the Money in the Bank briefcase and made it look like a giant Hershey bar. He's going to be the guy who's going to be holding on to that case probably up until right around WrestleMania. There's always one guy, one of the two cases ends up getting cashed in early. We've already seen that in Randy Orton. And the other one makes for compelling storylines down the stretch for the better part of a year.
Well,
and he's going to be the guy always like fake cashing it in, always lurking, always close by, because it is intriguing.
Well, I mean, who do you have that's a baby face right now that you can put with Del Rio after RVD? You've got Kofi, Kingston, Santino Marella.
You can put Dolph Ziggler back in the mix. And Santino Marella, aside from losing, was it on Raw that he lost just now?
I think so.
But aside from that, he's been on a hot streak.
Maybe they're setting him up to go up against Del Rio. I mean, I would not be upset with a brief Santino World Heavyweight Championship title run. Brief.
I would not either. Not at all. You know, it's been fun. We've seen him and Del Rio as the last two competitors in the 40-man Battle Royal a couple years back.
Right.
We saw Santino Marella in the as one of the final two in the Elimination Chamber a year or so ago, 2 years ago. Crowds pop for him big. They want him to get the big one.
So he's the kind of guy, though, where it would be believable if he somehow fluked into a win over Del Rio. He has the title. He's the kind of guy you could convincingly see lose to a Damian Sandow, right?
Sure. Yeah, but you know what? You don't need anybody to convincingly lose to Damian Sandow because Damian Sandow's going to creep in after the person's already had a hard-fought match, and he's going to steal a quick one to get the title.
Sure. Okay, so then you got Sandow, and then, I mean, Cesaro, I mean, he's fourth in line now, and he's a heel as well. I mean, you would have to break him away from the Real Americans in order to fight Damian Sandow. And I actually think Damian Sandow versus Cesaro would be a great match, good feud. I'm not arguing it. But, you know, Cesaro's just so far down that line right now. I can't see him taking the title for 18 months.
All right. Well, I hope it's sooner because he is a lot of fun to watch, and he's definitely got the attributes of a world champion.
But you're right, you know, and he does that big swing. He does that big swing now, you know, where he grabs him by the ankles, he spins him in a circle, and the crowd just eats that up. I mean, he's so entertaining. Zeb Coulter is like a comedy character. It's hard to take him seriously, you know. So I could see how people could be getting into the Real Americans, but I'm hoping that Los Matadores come in. They're very fun. They're high flying. They get the best of the Real Americans, and they've got this midget bull running around terrorizing Zeb Coulter. I think this is going to be a comedy mid-card feud, and it's going to take a while for Cesaro to get away from that and definitely rebuild himself to a World Heavyweight Championship material. So that's my 2 cents.
All right. Well, WWE has a knack for lately turning people either heel or face in a matter of a couple of weeks. So, you know, you never know.
You do never know. And I think that's about it as far as wrestling stuff. Did you like the 11-on-3 main event? I wasn't really a fan.
You know, no, I wasn't. In fact, it looked way too contrived. You're watching the Shield slowly pick apart each one of these guys. It just didn't seem very believable. Yeah, most of the guys had already fought a match that night, but it's 11-on-3. You know, I mean, were they just too lackadaisical, like in their 11-on-3-ness, to just let it like almost get to a 3-on-3? Anyway.
Well, if you got it down to 3-on-3, I mean, man, the Shield.
It didn't get down to 3-on-3, but I think it got down. What was it? 3-on-1 at one point, or 3-on-2 at one point?
No, it was. I think it was like 5-on-1 at one point.
Oh, okay.
Because Seth Rollins was the last one, and I know Daniel Bryan, I think, made him tap. I don't know. I don't remember how it ended. But, you know, you had Roman Reigns get pinned for the first time in that match. You know, what I don't understand about what happened here was if the Shield is supposed to be Triple H's pit bulls, his buddies, you know, they're in Tripp's back pocket. Why is he making a match where they're going to fight 11-on-3 and lose, you know, and look bad and get beaten up, possibly injured, and Daniel Bryan ends the show celebrating? Why would he do that?
It's a great question.
It's a good question.
I don't have an answer.
I don't either. Maybe we'll find it out this Monday. And yeah, Total Divas is not on TV right now, so I can't really talk about that.
Well, you know what we can talk about?
What's that?
The season finale of Dexter.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it real fast.
What'd you think, Nick?
It was the worst series finale I've ever seen on television.
Oh my God, that was horrible.
Yeah, and it was funny because a lot of people have been comparing it to the Seinfeld finale, you know, about how bad it was. I actually would have preferred a Seinfeld-esque finale where, like, Dexter gets killed and he's in purgatory, and all the people he's murdered are like there, you know, and they're the ones deciding his fate in the afterlife. I would have popped for that.
That's actually interesting because there was a showrunner for the show early on that quit after season 4, and I was reading an article where he had said, you know, oh, I thought they did an okay job with the finale, but had I still been on it, here's what I would have done. And it would have ended with Dexter in the electric chair, and all the people behind the mirror, Dexter's able to see them as he's about to, get electrocuted. And all the people behind the mirror are all the people that he'd killed. So you have Dokes, who he didn't kill, but he was inherently responsible for his death. You got Lila there. You've got Rita. You've got Trinity. You've got everybody that's dead. LaGuerta. And they're all there watching him get what's happening. I don't necessarily know that I would like that either, but what they did, oh my God. And spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, and if you have not seen it, I don't recommend seeing it, but a lumberjack, really? He's just going to give up, drive or ride his boat off into a hurricane, wash up somewhere, and become a lumberjack?
Yeah.
And needlessly killing off Deb for no reason. She got shot. Oh, she's going to pull through. Oh, wait, no, she's in a coma. Oh, Dexter pulls the plug. It's so fucking hokey.
Yeah, he didn't need to kill Deb, and there's absolutely no way he could have carried a corpse through a hospital, out the back door, through a bunch of people, onto his waiting boat, out into the ocean with nobody noticing. You know, that didn't make any sense. The lumberjack thing was stupid. The Hannah McKay Harrison thing reminded me too much of the ending to Hannibal, where he kind of like, you know, he tips his hat and he walks into the crowd and he gets disappeared forever. The only possible good that could come out of this is maybe they do a Harrison spinoff where Harrison grows up to be the new Dexter and Hannah McKay is there to kind of guide him along.
I read that there is no planned spinoff. But really, who let this finale go through the door like this? I mean, if I'm Michael C. Hall and I get the script, I'm gonna and I see this is what they're planning on doing to the show I've been a part of for 8 years. I'm going to take that script, I'm going to hack it up into 100 pieces and throw it into the Bay Harbor.
Sometimes it's really hard, and I don't want to pin this on Michael C. Hall because as an actor, sometimes it's really hard. You're in it, you've got people from all sides convincing you how this is going to work, do this, it's going to be great. The metaphor of your character being in isolation, away from everyone, removing himself, it can be very easy to buy into that stuff. I've definitely been a part of stupid wrestling shit that I was like told, to explain to me, and I was like, okay, this may not be that bad. And then when you're in it and you're doing it and you kind of watch it back, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? So I don't want to pin it so much on Michael C. Hall. I'd much rather prefer to pin it.
I don't blame Michael C. Hall for it, not at all. But I mean, somebody somewhere must have read that thing and said, no, this is not going to work. You guys got to redo this. It was horrible the way they ended that show. It's absolutely horrible.
You would think that, but sometimes in Hollywood, that's just not how things work out. So, anyway. All right, well, that sucked. Breaking Bad finales this weekend, so we'll talk about that on next week's show. And then
looking forward to that one. They're not going to botch that one. I have confidence.
Yeah, and then the week after that, it's The Walking Dead, and I'm pretty sure we'll be talking weekly about that as well. So we've got
Homeland returns this
week.
That.
Maybe I'll get back into that. So, I don't know. I haven't seen the new episode of Survivor. It just came on tonight, but I'll watch it later. So, okay.
All right. Yay, television.
Well, that was our overrun, Darren. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug or anything like that before I let you off the air?
Nope. You can go ahead and plug everything yourself.
Nick Hausman Show on Twitter, Nick Hausman Show on Facebook, Nick Hausman Show on YouTube. Boom, plugged. You doing anything fun tonight? You got anything fun going on?
No, it's getting kind of late. I'm probably just gonna call it a night and get up early and go to work on time.
Okay. Well, I won't be at Riddle Me That tomorrow night. I have a dinner appointment with a former employer of mine, and maybe we'll talk about that another time on another show. But yeah. So. All
right. So you won't be at Riddle Me That. All right. I'll see what happens then.
Yeah. Scrape together some quarters. Okay.
Gonna have to.
I know, right? It's expensive. I think I'm just taking this week off from just spending money. It's just kind of...
Got to do that once in a while. Live frugal.
Yeah, frugally. All right, buddy. Well, I'll talk to you later. Thanks so much for the overrun.
All right, thanks for having me on again, as per the usual.
Yeah. Bye, buddy.
Later.